Hi, welcome to Mr. Garofalo's podcast for September 21st. In today's podcast, I'd like to pick up with some of the notes that we left off with in class today. We had gotten up to something called the complement of a set, and I'd just like to add a few items to your notes that you might find helpful on the homework tonight, since we did run out of time in class. The complement of a set can be written a number of ways. It could just be written out as the complement of the set, or the notation could be a bar over the set, a apostrophe, what looks like an exponent, that's a small little c, or a tilde. Um, the complement basically refers to the elements that belong to a universal set but are not being used in set A, or the given set you're looking at. For an example, I want to jump to example 8 here. They give us if U equals, U is representing the universal set. Those are the elements that we're considering in this particular example. They are 1 through 10, the digits 1 through 10. And set R is 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, the even digits within that set. They ask us then what elements make up, and we read this as the complement of R. So if we look at R contains 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. They want to know what elements are in the universal set that are not 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. I'm just going to go ahead and highlight them. 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 are elements that are not in set R, but they are in the universal set. Those are going to be our complement. So we would list the complement of R 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. And just go ahead and put that notation in here since they wrote it with the bar over it. And do the same. Perhaps a better example is example 9. In this one, we're told that a high school basketball team has team jerseys numbered 1 through 12. The players wearing the jerseys are numbered 3, 6, 7, 8, and 11. They're the only players who start the game. Using roster form, list the complement of this subset. Now, you can use a Venn diagram if you want for a problem like this. I actually prefer to list out the universal set, so that's what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to write a capital U for universal set, since those are the elements that we're considering, and it's going to be the digits 1 through 12. How do I know that? Well, they tell me that the jerseys for the team are numbered 1 through 12. So those are the only jerseys we can consider. I'm going to define my own subset. I'm going to call the starters on the team set S. And we know from the example that the starters wear 3, 6, 7, 8, and 11. So far I have universal set, all the jerseys. I define the subset, the starters, as S, as 3, 6, 7, 8, and 11. To determine the complement, I need to look and see that 3, 6, 7, 8, and 11 are my starters. They're used. The ones that are remaining would be the complement of the subset, or the complement of set S. So I'm going to go ahead, and this time I'm going to use that little apostrophe mark, and I'm going to list all the leftovers. It's all the elements that haven't been used. So in other words, the players that are not starting the game, that are on the bench, have these numbers. These numbers represent the complement. So there's our answer for example 9. 1, 2, 4, 5, 9, 10, 12. You do not have to define these at set S and the complement of set S. You could have just listed them in a roster because they didn't give you specific names for each set. Now, example 10 would have been my big finish in class today because it combines everything that we learned. It gives you a universal set and then two subsets, A and B. And then you're asked in part A to find the intersection of set A and B. Okay, remember that arch-looking symbol means the intersection of two sets. So we want to know what are the elements that overlap between A and B. In other words, what are the ones that they share in common? Right? And as we examine the sets, we'll see that they share the element 10 in common. And that's it, because A only has one element in its set. So we would write that AB, the intersection of A and B, is simply equal to 10, and that 10 would go in braces. Now part B uses the exact same notation, except I see it's asking for the complement. The complement of the intersection of A and B would be all the other elements in the universe that are not right here. The only one here is 10. That means everything else. All of these are the complement of the intersection of A and B. So we would list them in braces: 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. As we move down to C, this symbol that looks like sort of like a cereal bowl is called the union of two sets. And if you think of the word union, it comes from the word unite. If you're uniting something, you're bringing it together. If you're uniting groups, you're bringing the groups together. So when you're talking about the union of two sets, you're talking about bringing the two sets together, and you're bringing all the elements in each set together. So we would want to include everything that's in set A and everything that's in set B. And we look at set A, we know it has a 10, and that's its only element. But now we're also going to include not only the 10 in set B, but also the 40 and the 60, because we're uniting all the elements that belong to those two sets. So the union of A and B would be equal to 10, 40, and 60. It just so happens that the union of A and B is also the same elements as set B. That only occurred because set A only had 10 as its only element. The complement of the union of A and B, well, you need to look in the universal set and see which elements are not used right here. There's 3 of them. I'll give you a hint, but I'm not going to do this one. You guys are going to try and finish it, okay? And then the last part, E, remember this symbol here means subset. So it's asking, is A a subset of B? Is A a smaller group of set B? And you would explain why. I hope you found this helpful. I know we were rushing a little bit there at the end of class. Hopefully this makes you a little bit more comfortable with your homework, and any of the problems that you have, we'll definitely take care of in class tomorrow. We'll see you then.